Good evening. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to week 12 of Woman at the Well from Shame to Fame. This week's topic, very timely, is processing grief and loss, a pathway to emotional healing. The scriptures for this week for you to meditate on are Psalms 147 and 3, 2 Corinthians 1 through 3 and 4, and Revelation 21 and 4. The juxtaposition to the woman at the well is the pain of five failures. So even though those husbands may not have died, whenever you go through a divorce, whenever you're traumatized through a relationship, there still is a process of grief. I don't care if it was a brief relationship, a brief romantic relationship, a brief period of time in which the two of you were together. When there is a separation, when there is a divorce, when there is a breakup, there is a process of grief. It doesn't encompass just death, but it could be the loss of a dream, the loss of a relationship, the loss of expectations. In different phases of our lives, we go through various types of grief, various moments of grief that can take us from anywhere from crying for a few days to going into a place of where we want to separate ourselves to having weeks and bouts of depression. So grief is processed differently by different people. The pain of five failures in her case, five husbands and the man she was with, represented a cumulative, unprocessed grief and disappointment. In other words, she found herself in a cycle. So sometimes when grief is not processed correctly, we continue to attract the same type of thing that will continue to cause us to hurt, continue to cause us to sorrow, continue to cause us the heartbreak that causes us to lament. Okay? So we need to understand that God is the ultimate source of comfort and healing. When we define loss, grief can be in various forms. It could be the loss of a trust, the loss of innocence, job loss, or the death of an unexpected future. I most recently lost two of my pets to a disease called parvo. That grief is just as taxing on the mind, the body, and the emotions as if it's a human death. Anytime you have anything in your life that you spend time on loving, taking care of, grooming, and ultimately having a bond with, when that thing breaks, when it is lost, there is a huge amount of grief that comes with it. Even though you may process it differently for different things, grief is still grief. But the good news is that God binds up the wounds. When we look at Psalm 147 and 3, He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. This is an active, tender work God performs in our emotional life. God is our ultimate surgeon. He is the one who can sew back the brokenness. He is the one that can heal the brokenhearted. He is the one that can soothe our aches and pains. There's a song that says, Earth has no sorrows that heaven cannot heal. So be encouraged today, no matter at what phase, because there are different phases of grief that you may be going through. A lot of people, it could be that your mother passed even 10, 15, 20 years ago. When you look at social media, they will still say, I miss you, mom. I'm glad you're in heaven, and have all types of accolades out there for ones they have lost, whether it's a spouse, a child, a parent, a best friend from school. We have to understand that everyone is different. So when you process your grief and loss, here's the key: process it. Don't hold on to it. Don't even try to manage it by yourself. Find someone who has a listening ear. Find someone who's tender, who's sensitive to what it is you're going through. So no matter who you are and where your phase is in life, don't let anybody undertone your grief. Don't let anybody just say, "Oh, you get over it." "Oh, why don't you just move on?" Because for different people, it's not just that simple. Sometimes it takes longer to process certain types of griefs than it does others. But here's the key: Make sure you're healed before you move into the next relationship, before you move to the next job, before you move into that next home. Whatever it is that caused you grief, that brought you loss, that made you suffer, that made you cry, that broke your heart, that sent you into a depression, that caused anxiety, process it before you go to the next phase. In Corinthians 1 3 through 4, it's a comfort to comfort thing. We are comforted in our troubles so that we can comfort others with the same comfort we received. Our pain is repurposed. Say that to yourself. My pain is repurposed for ministry. You don't go through something just to go through something by yourself at the beginning nor at the end. When you go through in the beginning, have someone you trust, that you love, that you can believe in to help you process it. And then when it's over, or even before it's over, minister that same pain, that same grief, that same overcoming spirit to someone else who may be beginning to go through it, are in the midst of it, or are coming out just like you do. There is a future hope. Revelation 21 4 talks about anchoring the emotional journey in eternal hope. Even if the full healing feels impossible right now, God promises a day when every tear will be wiped away. I pray that you understand this particular message for week 12 of Woman at the Well, processing grief and loss. It is a pathway to emotional healing. God bless you until next time. I look forward to seeing you.